How many times a day do you think your attention gets pulled in a different direction? 10? 20? Try over 300. That's the average number of times people check their phones daily. And that's just one piece of the puzzle we're diving into today.
That's wild. And honestly, it makes so much sense. It's not just phones though, it's everything. Notifications, emails, even just the constant noise of modern life. It's no wonder people feel like they can't focus anymore.
Right, and what's interesting is that most people think this is just distraction. Like, oh, I got distracted for a second, no big deal. But what's actually happening is something much deeper. It's fragmentation. And that's a whole different beast.
So what's the difference? I mean, distraction feels like a temporary thing, but fragmentation sounds bigger.
Exactly. Distraction is like a momentary interruption. It's when something grabs your attention for a second, and then you can theoretically refocus. But fragmentation, that's when your attention is interrupted so often and so consistently that it can't stabilize anymore. It's like your brain never gets to fully land on anything.
Oh, so it's not just about losing focus in the moment. It's about losing the ability to focus altogether. That's a pretty unsettling thought.
It really is. And what's worse is that your brain starts to adapt to this constant state of interruption. It learns to expect it. So even when there's nothing actually pulling at your attention, your mind starts looking for something. It's like it doesn't know how to just be still anymore.
That explains why so many people, myself included, will reach for their phones the second there's a lull. Like, even if I'm just waiting in line for coffee, I feel this urge to check something, anything.
Exactly. And that's where the real damage starts. Because if your mind never gets a chance to reset, you're carrying this constant mental load. It's like having a bunch of tabs open in your brain all the time, and none of them ever get closed.
So it's not just about feeling busy, it's about feeling unfinished. Like you're always in the middle of something, but never actually completing it.
That's exactly it. And what's so frustrating is that people often blame themselves for this. They think, oh, I just need to be more disciplined, or I need to work harder. But the truth is, this isn't a personal failing. It's a structural issue.
Structural how? Are we talking about the way society is set up, or is this more about technology?
Both, actually. The systems we interact with every day, whether it's social media, email, or even just the way work is structured, are designed to fragment our attention. And it's not necessarily malicious, but it is intentional. These systems benefit from keeping us engaged, which means they're constantly pulling us back in.
So, interruptions aren't just a side effect. They're part of the design. That's kind of a big deal.
It really is. And once you realise that, it changes the way you think about your own attention. It's not just about willpower or discipline. It's about the environment you're in. If you're constantly surrounded by things that are designed to interrupt you, of course your attention is going to feel fragmented.
That makes so much sense. And it also explains why it feels harder to focus on things that used to be easy, like reading a book. I mean, reading requires sustained attention, right? But if your brain is used to jumping from one thing to the next, it's like it resists staying in one place.
Exactly. Even if the content is interesting, your mind starts looking for something new, something faster. And it's not because you're bored, it's because you've been conditioned to expect interruption. Your brain has literally been trained to move on.
That's such an important distinction. It's not about motivation, it's about conditioning. And that conditioning comes from repeated exposure to fragmented inputs.
Right. Over time, your brain adapts to the environment it's in. If that environment rewards quick shifts and constant novelty, that's what your brain becomes good at. But the cost is that you lose the ability to go deep, to hold complex thoughts, to really sit with an idea.
And that doesn't just affect productivity, it affects understanding. You can take in more information than ever before, but you retain less of it. You understand less of it, you apply less of it.
Exactly. It's this strange paradox, more input, less outcome. And it's incredibly frustrating because it feels like you're putting in all this effort, but you're not seeing the reward.
Let's talk about the emotional side of this though, because it's not just cognitive, it's emotional too, right?
Absolutely. When your attention is fragmented, your emotional states become unstable. You're constantly shifting between inputs, and each input carries its own emotional tone. So you might see something positive, then something stressful, then something trivial, then something urgent, all within a few minutes.
And your mind has to adjust each time. That sounds exhausting.
It is, and because there's no time to process or stabilise, you end up feeling unsettled without really knowing why. It's like this constant background noise, a low-level agitation that never quite goes away.
That's such a good way to describe it. And I think a lot of people just accept that as normal. But it's not neutral, is it? It has real consequences.
Exactly. It affects how you think, how you decide, how you feel. And because attention is the foundation for all of that, if the foundation is unstable, everything built on top of it becomes unstable too.
So the big question is, can this be reversed? Or are we just stuck with this fragmented state of mind?
It can absolutely be reversed, but not in the way most people think. It's not about forcing yourself to focus harder. It's about creating an environment where your attention can stabilize again. You have to give your mind space to recover.
So instead of pushing harder, you change the conditions. That's such a different approach.
Exactly. The ability to focus hasn't disappeared. It's just been disrupted. And the first step to fixing it is awareness. Start noticing how often your attention shifts, how often you interrupt yourself, how often something external pulls you away.
And once you see it, you can start to reduce it. Not eliminate everything, but create pockets of continuity where your attention can settle.
Right? And that's where the real change begins, slowly but meaningfully.
So if someone listening feels like their mind is constantly busy, constantly pulled in different directions, constantly unfinished,
that doesn't mean they're broken. It means their attention has been fragmented. And that's something that can be understood and changed.
But it starts with recognizing it, because once you understand the structure, you stop blaming yourself.
And you start making different choices. Deliberately.
Well, that feels like a good place to leave it for today.
Agreed. And next time, we'll dive into what it actually looks like to rebuild attention, how to create those pockets of continuity, and what that changes.
I'm looking forward to it. See you then. If you want to learn more, visit www.modernlifeskillsacademy.com. You'll find more podcasts, audiobooks, videos, blogs, and more that will help you with your development. Thank you for joining us at Modern Life Skills Academy. We'll see you next time.